Flipping and wholesaling houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping or wholesaling houses, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. So I got a question from Nahi, who says, any advantage taking title in a trust as opposed to an LLC? So there's a lot to unpack there. So very common in other states for real estate investors to take title in a trust, take title or buy a property in a trust. So first of all, a couple things about the LLC. The LLC to me is the ultimate entity to use. It's incredibly simple to open. I've done videos on it. It takes about 5 minutes in New York to open an LLC. It costs $200. And you really have the ability of working it any way you want tax-wise. So what that means is you can be taxed. If it's a sole member LLC, it can be straight pass-through to the sole member. You can take title as you can pay tax as an S corp if you like that, or a C corp, any corporation you want. S corp is a pass-through entity also, which means it passes right through. So simple and easy. Now, I have bought properties from a trust, but it's creating a trust in New York, a real trust that has any teeth in it. So it has a trustee, it has a beneficiary. And I don't want to get into the whole legalities. I'm not an attorney, so you got to speak to an attorney about it. But to create a trust in New York is expensive. It's not an easy thing. It's easier to create other trusts in other places. And a lot of the times when people do this in a trust, they create it for anonymity because it's harder to find out who really is the owner of the trust, because there's this beneficiary and then there's a trustee, which can be different people. And you can create a trustee who's like an attorney and he won't divulge who you are. But creating a real trust to go out and buy properties in New York is expensive. And also, if you want to buy when I buy a property from a trust, a title company wants to see the copy of the entire trust, and they want to know who the beneficiaries are, who the trustee is. They want to know who really should have the ability to sign. It's much more complicated. If you buy a property in an LLC, they're going to want to see the corporate docs. Don't get you wrong; they're going to want to know you have the right to sign. But with a trust, the trust documents can be long, and I believe it's more expensive to create, and I don't believe it's cheaper. Right. So the question really was: is it cheaper without recurrent costs? I very often create a trust document for one entity for one property, and then I don't have any recurring costs, right? So the idea that you have to pay the tax every year, or whatever it is, or I forget what the fee is. If there's only taxable event in 1 year, I usually don't do any of that, and I don't even pay to make the trust go away, to make the LLC go away. So for me, it's a simple thing to open. There are no recurring costs. It's the easiest thing to create, really 5 minutes in time, $200. If I wanted to go create a trust, and I've looked into trusts for other purposes, it was thousands of dollars in legal fees to create it and to be an effective legal entity on its own. So I don't believe, if you really want anonymity when you create an LLC, you can have an attorney be the organizer or the signer. I'm not sure how it is. I've never cared about anonymity. It's never been an issue to me. But there are ways to make it anonymous. You can also create an S corp, which holds your LLC, and then the S corp is the signer and the organizer, and then there's another layer again. But I'm 52, and I can tell you that the only times I've seen someone really go after somebody is when either there was an egregious thing, like a guy mowed somebody down in anger, or when there was a lot of money to be had in that entity because of insurance or because of a umbrella policy. Story I've told before. My friend at a housekeeper got hit by a car, had some damage, broken bones, some real damages, but very wealthy guy who thought he was being smart by putting an umbrella policy on. The personal injury attorney saw that umbrella policy and sued and got millions of dollars for an injury that if he didn't have an umbrella policy, probably would have settled out with his auto insurer for $100,000. Got millions of dollars. So much that when my friend called the housekeeper, she's like, I'm not coming to work anymore. I got millions of dollars. I got my own housekeeper now. And only because she got lucky at who she got hit by. So this idea that we want to cover ourselves with insurance sometimes is not such a great move. Right now, obviously, if you have billions of dollars, tons of dollars, you want to protect yourself. And by the way, this guy does have hundreds of millions of dollars. So I understand it. But if you or I went out and said, "Oh, I'm going to protect myself by getting $1 million liability umbrella policy," which is just an over insurance policy, that is just going to be a target if we get into some kind of little fender bender. Now, assuming we're not going to go do something egregious and malicious, um, those things are only going to serve to serve the person that we get that's on the other side of the accident that we get on. So I'm not really concerned with anonymity because I don't plan to, and I have never done anything that I thought needed to protect myself. Now, the beauty of opening an LLC, quick, simple, cheap, on each property is that A, it limits your liability. So if theoretically someone slips and fall and sues you for negligence on another property, they can only get that property. A, B, once you sell the property, and that's the only asset in that LLC, anybody can sue you for whatever the hell they want. There is nothing else in the LLC for them to come after, right? So I tell this story also where I had a property, bought it from a guy. There was some kind of fight between him and the owner. We bought the property free and clear. Yeah, we bought the property from this guy. We evicted the owner. The owner came and sued us. I think this lawsuit's still going on. And for a while, I was paying my attorney to defend. And then at some point, I realized I had sold the property already. I had made money on the deal. That LLC had no assets anymore. So I said to my attorney, if they got a judgment against us, what could they collect? And he's like, nothing. I said, please stop defending. Ignore. I don't care what happens. I don't care if they get a judgment of $10 billion against us. There's nothing to collect from. So you gotta understand when you sue, there's other layers, right? You have to collect, right? You can get a judgment against somebody, right? Now I'm suing somebody now. I'm certainly going to get a judgment against them, against their LLC. I'm going to go after them personally. I'm going to try to do whatever I can. Um, but that's the way it works. This guy was malicious and egregious against me, still doing it. So that's besides the point. The point is that I'm not so keen on this anonymity because I don't really care. People can know who I am. I'm open and I will tell you who I am. So I find the LLC to be simple. I know there are advantages to a trust. I'm not saying there aren't, but what I've seen in New York is that to actually create the trust, it's expensive. There's no website to go to that says create a trust right now. Now maybe there is in another state. Maybe you want to create a state in Wyoming or in Delaware. I don't know. You can certainly do that. Just understand it's not typical that almost every single transaction that I go into, not on the seller side, but if I'm assigning a contract to another buyer or I'm selling it to a professional real estate investor, it's always an LLC. Always. Sometimes it's a corporation, but usually it's an LLC. So I would say that I don't know what benefit the trust would have. I think it's a more expensive option, and I don't know really why you'd want to go any other route. That's what I have to say. Now, there is something called a land trust in other states where you buy a property and you don't really buy the property, but you sort of own the property. I don't see that happening in New York the way transactions happen in New York. I don't see a seller having an attorney that would agree to do something like that. I don't see a title company allowing something like that to stay in place. It's possible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but very difficult closer to New York City. More possible up northern New York, where people close deals without attorneys all the time. And it's more things are done more in that area like they are in the other states than they are in downstate New York. So I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com or learntoflipandwholesale.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on any media channel, please click the thumbs up. The likes really help me. A lot more people have been seeing my videos. Thank you all for clicking thumbs up. Please don't stop. And please keep the comments coming. I post 5 times a week. I don't know. I usually have no idea what to say. So your questions give me topics to discuss. If you can ask anything, it does not have to be about the video you're watching. If it's something that if it's something simple, I'll just reply with an answer. If it's something that I've covered recently, I'll send you links to a video or videos on it. And if it's something I haven't done in a while or I've never done, then I'll be happy to do a brand new video on it. So thank you very, very much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. And please click the thumbs up.